This is the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. Bald heads, bold takes. Now, here are your hosts, Adam and Tony.
Welcome back. I'm Adam.
I'm Tony.
It's the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. Thank you for joining us. And before we get going in here, looking at Michigan's schedule and maybe some picks, we want to just remind you of our partnership with Happy Nuts. It's been great. We get a lot of good stuff there. I've used their stuff all the time. Me and you are both bald, so they have some razors and stuff like that. We use some deodorant. I know you do, and stuff. Body spray, all our body wash. I mean, just a bunch of good stuff. So you can get 20%. Tony, give them the code.
Two Bald Guys 20. That'll get you 20% off at checkout of all great products by Happy Nuts. Ladies, I know you want to keep your guy smelling fresh and clean, but they have stuff for the ladies as well too. So check out all their stuff. The sprays, I love the deodorant. It's really, really good. The refresher sprays, like you said, the body washes. I mean, they have all sorts of stuff just to keep you looking good, smelling fresh, so your significant other doesn't get grossed out by you.
Getting grossed out, and it is the hot time of the year, and if you're going around, that's good stuff to do.
Summertime.
It's summertime, and we live down in Florida, so it is ridiculously hot down here, but it's fun. Living in Florida, we like it. So let's let's just get at it. Last week we did the Oklahoma schedule to finish it off because you're a huge Oklahoma fan.
Correct.
Now let's go to, we said we do Michigan, so we're going to do Michigan because it's our teams. So let's go to Michigan. We already talked about one game because Michigan does play Oklahoma in week 2, but it's not an easy schedule for Michigan this year. So let's kick it off. I think, let's see, they start the week. I got to pull it up here. They start their season off with Western Michigan. The Broncos is a Saturday night game, which, I mean, it's always fun to watch night games, but, I rather the Oklahoma-Michigan game be the night game. But it's Michigan, right. Western Michigan. You know what? It's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be, what are we going to see here in this first week in the Whittingham era of Michigan, and is Bryce Underwood much better? They should win this game pretty easily. They're obviously a lot better than Western Michigan, but it's kind of a big, I don't want to say a big game, but it's kind of a big kind of litmus test to see, how things are changing. Are they going to continue to run the ball like they've been doing, or are they doing this, as they kind of have a warm up before Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think this is a good game. Like, Western Michigan's not completely awful, so Michigan's going to have to come out and they're going to have to play a little bit of football. They can't just really walk through this, so to speak. But Whittingham, Bryce Underwood under a new coach. You lost your one of your running backs. I know Michigan has several running backs, but I think Justice Haynes went to Georgia Tech or something, didn't he?
Yes.
So see another running back in there. I know you got at least one more, two more guys in there, so I don't think running back's an issue. But I think you want to see Bryce Underwood, how he progressed from last year. And this is going to be one of those games where you, as a Michigan fan, want to see really, really sharp football. I know it's week 1, but week 2 gets much more difficult. So you really want to see him be sharp, see what the offense looks like. I know you were a little, I'm not going to say disappointed, but last season you thought maybe they held Sharon Moore held Bryce Underwood back a little bit and didn't let him open up and get out there and use his feet and make plays. It kind of held him back, you felt. So it's going to be interesting to see. Kyle Whittingham's a great coach. He did great stuff out there in Utah. So obviously Michigan's going to win this football game. 26.5 is what I see on here. I'm not going to go that far because I think they're going to be trying some things, and I don't think they're just going to let it get a 30-point blowout. But Michigan wins pretty easy. I don't think Western Michigan scores a whole lot.
No, I like I said, it's going to be, I think they win easily, but 26.5. That's just a tough line to do. That's a lot of points. I mean, they're not good. Western Michigan's not good, but they're not like, they're not playing like some teams in the SEC plays, later in the season. So
right, exactly.
We get that win. Next week is Michigan at home against Oklahoma. We talked about this. You took Oklahoma. I took Michigan. Yep. But I think we're both kind of, like you said, we should know what Oklahoma has for the most part. Mateer's back. I think their first week, I forget who they play the first week, but it's not tough. Michigan. I think that we're going to be looking more at the Western Michigan game to kind of see how that offense goes, because when like you said it, they didn't open up the offense much. It's almost like it literally looked like they were playing not to lose a game against Oklahoma for the whole time, and they didn't even try to do anything. And I'm not saying if they did better, they would have won that game, but it would have been closer, I think. But I think the game being at home, I think Michigan and Oklahoma are very, very similar this year in terms of like just talent and teams. So I'm going to go Michigan just because I'm, a little bit of favoritism. You took Oklahoma. Do you want to talk about that game anymore?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it last week. Obviously, if you didn't listen to it, I just think I'm going to go with quarterback play. I think Mateer's just a little bit more experienced, and I think Underwood's going to get there, but he's got a new coach, and anytime you change coaching staffs a little bit, things change, especially at the quarterback position. I think it's a close game. Neither one of us are going to be comfortable. We were never comfortable last season even, and I think you're right. Last year it was kind of like, listen, we're okay with losing. We just don't want to get blown out. Let's just keep it, close, and let's not go out and try to make plays. I think Whittingham will open it up a little bit and try to make some plays. I like Oklahoma's defense in this, but Michigan can run the football. They always have been. That's one thing they do. If Michigan can run the football, it's going to cause problems for Oklahoma. But I'm just going to go with Oklahoma, obviously, because it's my team, and I just think Mateer is just a little bit more experienced.
All right. Then they got UTEP. Looking, this is kind of in the Western Michigan might be better than UTEP. So I'm not really worried about this game, but I'm hoping they're coming off a win against Oklahoma. If they come off the loss, the only thing they could possibly do is let this game be a little bit close in the first half, because if they're coming off a win and they're looking ahead to Iowa. If they come off a loss, I don't think we have to worry about the
getting up for this game.
It's not a trap game. Let's not kid ourselves. But it could be a slow start game. But I think they win that game pretty easily. I don't think we really have to talk about that one too much. Next week is their fourth straight home game to start the season. So Michigan only plays 4 road games this year, and 6 of their first 7 are at home. So 4 straight road home games. This one is home against Iowa. Listen, I don't think anybody's going to confuse Iowa for being a great team, but they're a pesky team. I'm happy this game is in Michigan, because playing in Kinnick Stadium is never fun. The crowd is right on top of you. Like, the benches are like 2 feet from the crowd. So it's not a fun place to play in Kinnick. So I'm glad this one is home. I think Michigan wins this game because they're going to be more talented than Iowa. But don't get me wrong, Iowa can definitely come into Michigan and win this game.
Yeah, Iowa, like you said, at Iowa, I think I'm not going to say Iowa would win it, but I definitely think it's a much harder game for Michigan at Iowa. But Iowa they don't beat themselves a lot of times, but they just don't have the playmakers on offense to win tough football games like this. Their quarterback play is usually mediocre. They might have a decent running back in there. They really don't have wide receivers that are going to just tear up the field on you, but they have big boys on the offensive line. They can run the football. Their tight end's probably going to go to the NFL, but they just don't make enough big plays to beat teams like Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State consistently. And Michigan's going to win this football game. You're right. It can be pesky. I like that they have UTEP the week before, because regardless of what happens at Oklahoma, whether they win or lose, they can take care of UTEP no matter what. So they're coming into Iowa basically as fresh as you possibly can be, playing UTEP the week before. Barring any serious injuries, I think Michigan takes care of business. But you're right, Iowa can sneak up on you and be just make you stress out a little bit, even though Michigan's gonna win this game. Iowa can stress you out. I would never want to play Iowa either, especially at home.
Yeah, right. Next one is at Minnesota. Listen, they're playing for the oh my gosh, the Little Brown Jug.
Joe Brown Jug, that's what it is.
The Oaken Bucket is the Indiana Purdue, but they're playing for the Little Brown Jug. It's at Minnesota. They played Minnesota last year, or maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember. And Michigan was up early. Minnesota made it close. Listen, I'm hoping Michigan's 4-0, at least 3-1 going into this game. They better not be 2-2. If they're 2-2, it could be trouble. But they go to Minnesota. I'm going to say Minnesota's going to give them a little bit of trouble. I don't. Even as well as Michigan has played, because they do have a bye the next week. That'd be the only reason not to look ahead, because Penn State's their next game. They got a tough couple games. We'll talk about it in a second. I think Minnesota's winning in the second half, but Michigan comes back and wins the game.
Okay. That's an interesting take. I don't think Minnesota is much of a problem as Iowa is. I think Iowa will be more problems, especially Iowa's defense is always pretty solid. Michigan had already been tested up to this point with Oklahoma. And I think they're going to learn a lot about that Oklahoma game, about who they are, regardless win or lose. And I think having Oklahoma and Iowa before Minnesota, I think Michigan takes care of business here. I don't see any reason. I know Minnesota can kind of be pesky once in a while. Once every couple of years, they seem to have a quarterback or a wide receiver that can take off and deal problems with teams. But I think Michigan is more tested right now at this point in the season than Minnesota is. And I think Bryce Underwood is getting confidence. He's getting better. He's played against a great defense in Oklahoma, another good defense in Iowa. Michigan is going to be ready, and I think they take care of business against Minnesota. I don't think it's stressful for you. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So I hope not. Trust me. I mean, I think I like to see good games. Don't get me wrong, but let's be honest. I want Michigan to win every game by a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to have to stress, in
every single week.
games, in any of these games. So. I don't even care. I don't care if people are like, "Oh, you're just blowing it." Good, cool. That means you're better than them. Keep winning.
Exactly.
So I hope you're right in that case, but I just think it's going to be a pesky game against Minnesota. There, they get the bye week the next week, and then they have another two home games. But it's Penn State and Indiana. So Penn State, obviously a big time letdown last year. I picked them to win the national championship. Thought they would be better, but then James Franklin, his way out of a job with Penn State. But they went out and got the guy that I would like. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Kyle Whittingham. I'm not pissed that Michigan ended up with Kyle Whittingham, but I wanted Matt Campbell from Iowa State. I said this multiple years ago, and then when this started to go down, well, guess what? Penn State scooped him up a week before the Sherrone Moore incident. So they have Matt Campbell, and I'm telling you right now, that team's going to be better. I mean, I'd be surprised if they don't start winning right away, because look what he did with Iowa State in the Big 12. I mean, Iowa State was nothing. I mean, they never made a Big 12 championship game. They never did any of this stuff. They were nothing, and he made them good. Yeah. Now, how good are they going to be this year? He did bring his quarterback and basically half the Iowa State team with him.
Correct.
But as good as those guys are, it is still Iowa State coming into the Big Ten. So where are they going to be? This is almost halfway through the season here. I think this is another game I'm glad at home. I think Michigan beats Penn State, and I have them starting this season 6-0.
I mean, looking at Penn State's schedule, USC is who they have right before Michigan. That's basically their toughest game to date. They have Temple, they have Buffalo, they have Northwestern. They do have Wisconsin in there, but that's not the same Wisconsin team that we know. So their schedule's not as tough as Michigan's so far. So Michigan is going to be way more tested. And you said the key words. This is basically Iowa State coming into the Big Ten. And I'm not taking anything away from Iowa State, but Matt Campbell did a great job in Ames, Iowa, which nobody does a great job in Ames, Iowa. Let's be true. But he brought his guys from Ames out to Penn State to play in the Big Ten, which we know Big Ten is better than the Big 12. I think Matt Campbell's a great coach. Year one, though, is not going to be his best season. Year three, now I'm a little more nervous about Matt Campbell because we know he can coach 3 stars. Right. So now he's going to get some 4 or 5 stars, but it's going to take a couple years. Michigan at home. That's a big one as well. You mentioned that. Michigan takes care of business here. I only have them with 1 loss so far, and you have them undefeated. So I don't think that's unrealistic at all. Penn State is not tested like Michigan has been up to this point. Michigan definitely saw way better defenses at Iowa and Oklahoma, and Bryce is going to be just fine. You're going to run the ball. Your defense is going to take care of business. Iowa State 2.0 doesn't get it done this year.
All right. The next game that they have is against Indiana, and it's at home. Listen, I wasn't sure Indiana was going to be good last year. I just didn't know if they were going to be able to repeat what they did the year before, but they did. Right. They are now bringing in the quarterback from TCU. He had trouble with
interceptions.
Yes. But are you going to doubt? Are you going to doubt Cignetti right now?
I'm gonna say yes. I am. Oh. I think he's done something at Indiana that nobody ever thought would ever happen at Indiana. I think that he's made his run. He's one of those coaches where second year they win a national championship and then we don't hear from him ever again, really. Or they just kind of go mediocre. Sometimes they are decent, sometimes they're not. I think he's a great coach. what he's done at Indiana is unprecedented. But Michigan at home, and you said the TCU quarterback. I don't even know his name. I just know he had problems. His decision making is bad, and give one season. I don't think you can fix bad decision making in one season under a new coach. I think maybe the offense could help a little bit, but they lost a lot of guys. They lost a lot of guys to the NFL. That was a very experienced team last year at Indiana. This is not the same Indiana team. I think Michigan comes in. They don't have to go to Indiana. Not that I think that's a crazy tough place to play, but being in the big house helps. And I think Indiana's going to have a solid team this year, but it's not last year's team. Michigan wins.
All right. I'm not
Indiana
gonna
favored by 6. Get out of here.
I'm not going to be mad at that pick, but listen, I'm not unrealistic in this whole situation of things. So I am going to go that
I'm going to throw this out there before you say anything.
All right.
Indiana before Michigan. Do you know who they play? Because I do.
Is it Ohio State?
It's Ohio State.
Is it the week before? Or do they get a bye?
No, it's the 17th of October, and then the 24th, boom, they go to Michigan. So that's tough. That's a rough stretch right there for them. They had nobody before that though.
That is a rough stretch. Yeah, that is a rough stretch. But listen, Michigan's they're not gonna go undefeated. I just can't see them going undefeated. And right now, Indiana's riding high. That is a rough stretch. I mean, they didn't do them any favors. Like if people are gonna say, Indiana, their non-conference schedule sucks. I know that
it's rough. Yeah.
But I mean, they are playing Ohio State, Michigan. They got Nebraska the week before that at Nebraska. They do have USC and they play at Washington. So, they avoid Oregon, they avoid Penn State, which Michigan has like all of them on their schedule. So I understand, but Michigan's going to have a loss in there. So I'd be very, very happy if Michigan is 6-1 at this point. I'm going to say they lose, but I hope they don't, because I would love to just shove it to some of my friends that are Indiana fans and my cousin.
Because they haven't been able to talk trash for years, and all of a sudden they got a couple decent years.
Wait, hold on. Years ever. Ever for football. They've true. My cousin has been able to talk crap about basketball forever, or not forever, but for Indiana. And I finally, the tables have turned. Like right. Michigan has a national championship in basketball, Indiana has it in football. So
what's going on here?
I would love to be able to talk trash to them. I don't think I'm going to be able to.
I think Indiana wins. Wow. Okay.
I'm going to go, but here's the thing: if Michigan's 6-1 after 7 games, I'm happy.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
that's what I have too.
I don't even know who. They're not going to lose to Western Michigan and UTEP. So losing against Iowa, Penn State, or Indiana is not a bad loss. Losing to Oklahoma is not a bad loss. Maybe at Minnesota. But if Michigan's 6-1 after 7 games, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah, I would be too. Yeah,
because they need it. Because they're at the very end.
Don't worry. Yeah, I got a couple losses coming for Michigan.
So at Rutgers,
no, Rutgers is.
Rutgers is great for the first 5 games of the year. They're going to be 5-0. And then they're going to finish the season 5-7. So Rutgers, let's see what their schedule is. I mean, they go UMass, Boston College. Oh, they might not be. They're not going to win their first 5
games. 3-2. They might be 3-2
because they get Indiana.
4-2, 5-2.
Okay, sorry.
They'll be 5-2 coming into.
Rutgers always looks decent to start the year.
Yeah.
It's at Rutgers that maybe gives them a chance. No, Michigan's going to win this game.
Yeah, Michigan wins. I think Rutgers is like 5-2 coming in or something like that. They have Indiana on there and they have USC. I don't think they're going to beat those 2 teams, but they're going to come. Michigan's going to go up to Piscataway and take care of business at Rutgers.
Yeah. So we got that. The next game's at home against Michigan State. Listen, last year people thought that Michigan State was going to have a chance to, maybe.
The quarterback looked decent. That Childs, Aiden Childs, which is
he just did. Your kid. Not my son. Not my son.
Spelled different.
Listen, Michigan doesn't want to lose this game. They're not losing against Michigan State at home. They're just not going to. I'm sorry. Michigan State's got a new head. Well, Pat Fitzgerald is their new head coach, so that concerns me a little bit.
Year 1 though.
Yeah, it's year 1. I don't see it happening. So I'm going to say Michigan beats Michigan State and sets up a huge game at Oregon. So Michigan. If you want to talk about their pansy schedule last year or maybe the year before, okay. This year they get Penn State and Indiana back-to-back weeks, and then they get Oregon and Ohio State both on the road in 2 out of 3 weeks. So, yeah, it's rough. At Oregon and at Ohio State, and then home against UCLA. I'm going to clump all these games together. I think they win at home against UCLA, and they find a way to beat Oregon or Ohio State. I'm just going to say it. I can't say Ohio State beats them. I'm just not going to do it. So I'm going to say they lose to Oregon, they beat UCLA, they beat Ohio State, which I understand the Ohio State game is completely by heart right now. I get it. I'm not trying to say that I'm going to be necessarily right on that one, but I cannot pick Ohio State to win that game. So Michigan, I'm going to have Michigan with 2 losses, but realistically, I think if they're 9-3, I'd be happy.
9-3. I think we talked about Oklahoma being somewhere around that as well. I think being in the Big Ten, 9-3 could definitely get you into a playoff spot, especially if you win. Like, let's say you have them beating Oklahoma, and I think if Oklahoma makes a run in the SEC, I think that definitely helps the case. I don't have them losing to Indiana like you do. So I have them losing to Oregon and Ohio State. I think they beat UCLA. I have them losing to Oregon and Ohio State. So that's 3 losses. So we come to the same conclusion, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, pretty close.
And I think you said it. Like, we need the eye test a little bit too. Like, how good's Ohio State going to be? They lost a ton of guys in the draft. I know they seem to just have guys left and right, but they had a lot of NFL draft picks because we joked about how you take a team with all those NFL guys that got drafted and you can't make the national championship game, Ryan Day. So they lost a ton of guys, but Oregon with its quarterback play for me right now, and I need to see Bryce Underwood make some strides. Oregon, we know who the quarterback is, and he's solid. He's going to be a Heisman front runner. And Ohio State, Julian Sayin, I know you hate him, but they have talent out there, and Julian Sayin's pretty good. So I think they're going to lose to Oklahoma, Oregon, and Ohio State, and I think those 3 losses are about as good of 3 losses that you could probably have. And Michigan's strength of schedule is going to carry them a little bit because I think Indiana's going to have a good season. I think Penn State will win quite a few games. Iowa always seems to win 8 or 9 games, Oklahoma. So I think Michigan's going to be okay at 9-3. So, and who knows, they might surprise us and beat Ohio State when they shouldn't have, like they did a couple years ago. I mean, you never know.
Right. I think I'm an optimist, and you are too. But we're realists too. Like, I understand I am doing a lot of this with my heart, but I really do think the ceiling for Michigan this year is 10-2. I think the floor could be 7-5, but I think they're going to settle in that 8-4, 9-3. And honestly, if they go 9-3, I don't know how you can be mad, because I know 3 of these games are at home, but they play Oklahoma, Penn State, Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. So I mean, there's Iowa sprinkled in there too. So I mean, it's not that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's half of their games are games that they can lose. So you get to 9-3 with that schedule. I don't think anybody's going to be pissed. But at the same time, if you go into the Oregon game, with three games left, 8-1, and then you finish 9-3, then it's going to be a little bit different. Yeah. And then obviously the loss against Ohio State would not be good for
Obviously, losing to Ohio State, no matter what, is not good for a Michigan fan. But
right. So,
but like when you had a kind of a rough season a couple years ago, you beat Ohio State, and that was kind of like the opposite effect. It was like, you know what? We didn't have a great season, but we beat Ohio State, and that kind of helped ease the burden, the blow on that season. So, 3 losses. I think both of our teams could be right in the same area right there. So, I'd like to see Michigan and Oklahoma make the playoffs together.
That'd be good. Speaking of playoffs, we're not going to get into our picks for the playoffs, but you know what? Let's just do some early picks for the Big Four. The top 14, the Big Ten, ACC, SEC, Big 12, and then maybe a mid-major team to kind of look out for. So, you know what? Let's start with the lessers. Oh my God, that's not even a word. The lesser of the conferences, according to us, that'd be the ACC and the Big 12. I think the Big 10 and the SEC have separated themselves. So,
for sure.
Do you want to start with the ACC, or do you want to start with your old stomping grounds for Oklahoma in the Big 12? Which one?
You know what? The Big 12 might be the hardest one to pick, in all honesty. Let's start there.
All right. I think this is kind of the same as we've said in the past. I think we can probably just flip a coin and pick a team, and we have about as good a chance of us trying to reason through this, because Hell, last year the Texas Tech, ran through it. We didn't think they were going to be good. And of course, as everybody thought, Texas Tech and BYU in the Big 12 championship game.
Right.
Obviously, Utah and Houston ended ranked, and Arizona, after a kind of a tough start, finished better. The year before that, it was Arizona State and Iowa State. So, where are we going to go? TCU's okay. Baylor, I don't know.
I'm just looking at the list here.
I would have said Texas Tech for sure had Sorsby been eligible.
Yeah, correct.
But I think everybody's got so many question marks. Utah lost their coach, obviously. Houston, are they any good? BYU, good job. They were 12-2, but they kind of got exposed by Texas Tech and then missed the playoffs. I don't know. I don't know which way to go with this, but I'm going to go Texas Tech. I'm just going to say Texas Tech wins it just because they have the experience from last year in winning it, even though they do not have who knows who's going to be their quarterback.
Yeah, I think they're like you said, if Sorsby's there, I think Texas Tech's the front runner. I don't think there's a whole lot of argument there, but losing a quarterback's a huge deal. But they have a lot of other really nice pieces on that team. So Texas Tech's going to be a factor. Utah has their quarterback, that Dampier kid, who's pretty good. I know Winningham left, but Utah's going to have talent out there. They're going to be hard to beat. Colorado with Dion, can he get back to where he was a few years ago when they had a decent team? Stop right there. No, the answer is no. Baylor, no. ASU, no. Arizona, no. BYU, though. BYU is bringing back a lot of guys. They're bringing back that Bachmeier, whoever that quarterback was, Bear Bachmeier. BYU is going to be the team now that, because Texas Tech's quarterback position is kind of in the air, BYU can beat Texas Tech now. They can win. The one other team I want you to look out for a little bit is Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State bringing in a new coach. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be better, much better, because they couldn't really get a whole lot worse. But watch out for Oklahoma State. And who knows about Kansas and Kansas State? I think Iowa State takes a hit. But I'm picking BYU, but Texas Tech's going to be right there. Scott Frost, remember, went back to UCF. So he did okay after season 1 or 2 or whatever, right? Because they were national champs.
Yeah.
According to them.
You know what? Tony went out on a limb and said that Oklahoma State was going to be better. Oklahoma State went 1-11 last year.
That's a crazy take on my part, right?
Okay, and they have Tulsa and Murray State in their non-conference. Now they do have Oregon. Oh my gosh, Oregon in their non-conference too. So Tulsa and Murray State should win, but I think they lost to Tulsa last year. And it's at Tulsa.
Tulsa's decent.
Maybe not. All right, you got Texas. You have BYU. I have Texas Tech. Let's move on to the ACC. I'm going to say it, and this has never ever happened.
Oh gosh!
And you're gonna think that I'm crazy, but once I say it, you're gonna be like, okay, that's true. This has never happened in the history of college football. All right.
Okay.
Miami is going to win the ACC because they have never won the ACC in football. Not in football. I don't know if they've won it. Nope. I think they've won it obviously in other sports. Miami has never won the ACC in football. No, now, you can argue that they were the best team in the ACC last year, and I don't think anybody would argue with you about it, but they didn't make the playoff. Duke did, which I just pulled up their standings, and Duke is down at 6. Now, they were tied with Miami, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, and those 3 teams, and they won and SMU, sorry. Mm-hmm. There was 5 teams with a 6-2 record, and it was just a mess. So Duke played Virginia, and Duke won the ACC last year. So crazy. Duke has more ACC big football championships than Miami.
Wow!
It stops this year.
When you say it like that, it sounds really bad.
Yeah. We're not going to fall in the trap of thinking Clemson's going to be better. At least I'm not going to. I don't think Florida State's ready, and North Carolina's a mess with Bill Belichick. Miami gets it done. They finally break through and win the ACC championship. I think the rest of it is a mess. I think it's an absolute mess. And Clemson finished 7-6 last year. I mean, Pittsburgh looked decent at time last year. Georgia Tech was undefeated for a while, and then they just fell off the earth. And same thing with Virginia. Miami wins.
I definitely am going to agree with you. Miami wins, but I think don't sell Dabo short at Clemson. He's had a couple down years.
Don't fall into the trap.
I'm falling into the trap just a little bit, like my toes in there. Duke who won the ACC last year, their quarterback and their best wide receiver went to Miami.
Miami.
So yeah, Duke's in trouble. Florida State, like you said, they're not ready yet at all. UNC is going to be better this year because
Can't be much worse.
they have to be better under Bill Belichick. They will be better. But right now, Miami, I think, is so far talent-wise in front of everybody else that it really shouldn't be a problem. I know Miami has Notre Dame on there, but it's not a conference game. So that's their only problem right now is Notre Dame, and I think Miami runs through the ACC. They should have last year as well, but they had some injuries, and that really cost them against Louisville, and I can't remember who the other team was. Don't forget James Franklin at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's going to be better. Listen, we
be
joke
okay.
that James Franklin things, and he does.
does.
But he did it in the Big Ten too. So listen,
he's still
losing in the Big Ten and losing to Michigan and Ohio State is nothing to like you get to a point where you're like, okay, you have to break through, right? But everybody, he just never did. But everybody's got to kind of break through, right? The Bulls had to break through the Pistons way back when, the Colts had to break through the Patriots, things like that. Like you have to break through. He just couldn't get it done. If I'm the ACC, I'm like, ooh, like he's not. I don't like the guy. I don't think he's a great coach, but he's not a bad coach. Like he's good. He was good at Vanderbilt. He had Penn State perennially. Good.
So they won 10 games almost every year. They just couldn't beat the teams that mattered.
And things just like and let's remember now they came back to get to Oregon, but they're a play away from winning that Oregon game. Instead, they lose it and then they just fall apart. Like it fell apart in spectacular fashion. It shouldn't have fallen apart like that, but stuff happens sometimes. Like you're still dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids, So that team was good last year. They just the game against Oregon broke them. And unfortunately for them, it broke them in like the 5th game of the year. So then you lose 3 in a row, and now you just fall, into a pit, and it cost them the job. But they showed at the end of the year they were playing better. So,
they should have beat Indiana, right? I mean,
yeah, Indiana came back and won that game.
Incredible play. The ridiculous catch in the end zone that probably never happen again in anybody's life to beat Penn State. So James Franklin can win football games. He can recruit guys. He can coach to a certain level. I think you and I both talked about this when he first got the job there, is he might be better off in the ACC because there's no Ohio State, there's no Michigan. There had been a Clemson in there, but Clemson's fallen down a little bit. Miami is kind of hot right now, but how long will that last? So I think he's in the right conference to maybe he could finally get to and maybe win a conference title, but not this year. Miami's going to win.
All right, so you're picking Miami also. So we're in agreement with the ACC here, all right? So we both got Miami. All right, we're going to go to the SEC. We'll do the SEC first because, right now they're still lacking behind the Big Ten because the Big Ten has won the last 3 national championships. Remind you is Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana, which produced one of the worst shirts ever produced in the history that you could buy. It was the three-peat of the Big Ten. I'm like, no. I'm not buying anything that has Michigan and Ohio State on the same thing unless it's a Michigan guy destroying an Ohio State guy.
Right.
So, yeah, my little spiel. Let's go to the SEC. I was big last year that the SEC wasn't great. You had, the Alabama made the playoffs, Oklahoma made the playoffs, Penn State's not in there. Texas A&M made the playoffs, and Oklahoma and Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss, they did their thing. They were right there, and I think in the semifinals.
Yeah, Miami.
Oklahoma, lost to Alabama. Texas, obviously, a little bit of disappointment. Texas A&M lost to Miami because they could only score 3 points.
Right.
Lane Kiffin's at LSU. Georgia obviously still has Kirby Smart. Outside of that, I think there's a lot of mediocre teams. I think this is a year, and you're going to hate me because I'm going to jump in the Kool-Aid, but
okay.
Arch Manning played a lot better at the end of last year, and if he plays anywhere near that, they're the best team in the SEC, and I don't think it's particularly close. I'm going Texas and the SEC. Now, their schedule they do go to Tennessee. They have a bye. They have Oklahoma, Florida, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State in 4 straight weeks, but all 4 of those games are at home.
Okay.
Then they go at Missouri, at LSU. I don't think those are that big of a deal. Home against Arkansas, and then at Texas A&M. They do not have Alabama, and they
don't
do not have
Georgia.
Georgia on their schedule.
Wow.
None of those teams are. I mean, obviously, there's Oklahoma. I'm not trying to talk badly about
Ole Miss
Oklahoma.
and Oklahoma, I think, are the two.
Yeah, but it's not a backbreaker of a schedule.
You're right.
So
that's crazy.
I'm going Texas in the SEC.
All right. I can't hate you for that because Manning is Manning, and Texas has the guys. They really do. Sark is kind of like borderlining on the James Franklin type stuff right now, where he always has a pretty good team, but he just can't get over the hump. I think we can eliminate Alabama. I don't think anybody's scared of Alabama. Ty Simpson got drafted, and he was a pretty solid quarterback. I don't think they're going to be as good as they have been. I think Alabama's slowly on the way down. Georgia, though, on the other hand, this year they're a little bit loaded. They got Stetson Bennett. Is that the quarterback?
No,
Stetson Bennett. Who is it? Who's the quarterback for Georgia? He's
I'm
back.
Gunnar
Stockton. Gunnar Stockton's back.
He's still there?
Stockton, yeah, he's back. So I think Georgia has one of the – they're going to be one of my choices.
No, he's not. Oh, no, that's Texas. Never mind. Go ahead.
No, yeah, Gunnar Stockton's there. I think Georgia's going to be a problem. LSU, Lane Kiffin, first year, they'll be okay. They'll be pesky, but they're not ready to win it at all. My Sooners, I want to really believe my Sooners, but looking at that schedule that we went over the other day, it's going to be tough. It really is that they have a rough schedule in there. Ole Miss, without Lane Kiffin, but they have Trinidad Chambliss and Lacey. They are going to be really, really good. And I think it's 4 teams right now. I think it's Georgia, OU, Ole Miss, and Texas. And I'm going to go with Georgia. I think Georgia wins it. Quarterback Kirby Smart, he can get it done. He's got a couple national titles in there. I just don't think Sarkisian can do it. Oklahoma's right there. But they need some breaks. They need some things to go their way a little bit, and Mateer needs to stay healthy, and they need to be able to run the football. But Ole Miss can run the football. Chambliss can make plays, and it's all on Arch Manning, though, for Texas, which is kind of rough for Texas. That's why I'm not picking them. I think Arch Manning has too much on his shoulders. I think he's talented. I just don't think Sarkisian can get it done with him. So I'm going Georgia.
You're going Georgia. All right, you're going back to the well of Georgia. Boo!
I know, but
you have trouble. You have trouble picking Texas. I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Texas can be good. They're going to be a problem, no doubt.
Yeah, they're going to be good. So we go over to the Big Ten now. So listen, everybody's going to say Ohio State, right? Ohio State.
Right.
Ohio State's schedule. Let's just look at it here. They do have Texas early. That doesn't affect their Big Ten. They have Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, at Indiana, a bye, at USC, Oregon, Northwestern, at Nebraska, Michigan. It's not hard, but it's not the easiest. At Iowa, it's pesky. At Indiana, obviously. At USC is not going to be easy. Oregon at home, and obviously Michigan at home also. Oregon, on the other hand, let's see what they got. They go to USC. Actually, their non-conference schedule, they play Boise State and
Oklahoma State, yeah.
That's all right. And then they got Portland State. They're going SEC on that one. Okay. So they go at USC, home against UCLA, Nebraska, at Illinois, home against Northwestern, at Ohio State, and home against Michigan, and at Michigan State in back-to-back weeks. And then they finish the season with Washington at home. That is not an easy last 4 games. Michigan State shouldn't be great, but it's at Michigan State. So
Illinois is not awful.
No, Illinois is not awful.
They'll give you a problem.
The Northwestern game, So I don't think either one of those is easy. But listen, I can't do it. Ohio State's good. I'm going to say this is the year Oregon breaks through. The Dante Moore is back. Yep. They were right there last year. Obviously, they just missed making the Big Ten championship game. Indiana obviously won. Yep. I get that Indiana is the defending national champion, but their schedule is not the easiest either. And the Big Ten has won 3 in a row. I think this is the year maybe it's 4 in a row. Oregon's a team I'm kind of looking at. Could it be 4 different teams in 4 years? It'd be kind of unprecedented.
That'd be crazy. Yeah.
But I'm going Oregon for the Big Ten. I'm not saying anything about the national champion yet, but I'm going to go Oregon in the Big Ten. That's a tough schedule. I get it. I don't think anybody in the Big Ten goes undefeated because I think Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon are all pretty good. Michigan's going to cause a little bit of trouble to some teams, and Penn State can be okay too. So, but I'm going Oregon.
Okay, I know you're not going to pick Ohio State because I don't pick Texas. I get that. Indiana. Here's my problem with Indiana. They're not surprising anybody this year. 2 years ago, whoa, who's this Indiana team? Okay, we got to figure out what they're doing. Last year, Cignetti had a bunch of 26-year-old guys out there, and just it was guys against kids, and nobody's there's enough film on Cignetti and there's enough film on Indiana from the last 2 seasons. They're not surprising anybody anymore. They can game plan against them a little bit more. And I think that's what makes it so tough to be so good. And it's every year in, year out. So I'm not going Indiana. I think Michigan it's going to depend on Underwood's play. I need to see that. But right now I don't have anything to go off of. Ohio State's going to be in the running. They're definitely going to be in there, but I'm going to go with you. I like Oregon. I don't think they have national championship ability. I just don't think they can do that just yet. But Dante Moore is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. And Oregon has guys, and I like their coach. He's solid. I don't think he's a national championship coach just yet. I think they're missing a couple pieces, but Oregon's going to be a problem. They've been a problem the last couple seasons. They just couldn't finally get it done. But they get it done this year. Last year they missed out on it. 2 years ago they lost. They get it done this year. Oregon wins the Big Ten. I agree.
All right, Oregon. So we're in agreement. We're both saying Oregon in the Big Ten. We're both saying Miami in the ACC. The SEC, I said Texas, and you said Georgia.
Yep.
Big 12, I said Texas Tech. You said BYU. All right. Mid-major teams, and there's a bunch of them out there. Obviously, you get the Boise.
There's a ton, but
and I kind of said this team last year, but I'm going to go back to them this year because they surprised last year. Dan Mullen is out there and as the head coach, and that changes things a little bit. I'm going to go UNLV. All right.
Okay.
Their schedule is Memphis, at Hawaii, at North Texas, at Akron. So that's 3. They do play Cal at home, but then they got North Dakota State, at Air Force, Northern Illinois, because Northern Illinois joins the Big West. I don't understand this at all. Not the Big West, the Mountain West. Wyoming, New Mexico, San Jose State, Nevada. They do not play Boise State in the regular season. That is not that tough of a schedule. I'm going UNLV as a mid-major team to pick. They were good last year, came up a little short. They couldn't beat Boise. Let's see what they did last year just to make sure. I know they were good. They went 10-3. They lost to Boise 38-21 in the Mountain West Championship game. They lost to them 56-31 earlier too. They had a bunch of close games, but that they can do it. I'm going UNLV as the mid-major team to watch this year.
Okay. I don't hate that pick. I know people are going to think Boise's out there and Liberty or whoever else is out there, but I'm going to go with I like the green wave of Tulane right now, only because their schedule's pretty easy, except they have Duke, but I don't think Duke is as good, obviously, because they lost their quarterback and their best wide receiver. I think Tulane can beat Duke to start the season. That sets them at 1-0. They'd beat an ACC opponent. Then they have South Alabama. They'll take care of business there. They have K-State. I think a couple years ago, Tulane did beat K-State. So I think they do it again. I don't think K-State's anybody else. Then the rest of their schedule all the way until they got Memphis in there who can kind of be a pest once in a while. They have Army, and they have North Texas. I know North Texas was decent last year, but I think North Texas quarterback transferred or got drafted or something. And then they have South Florida in the season. So they can make a run all the way to maybe that North Texas, South Florida game, and they could even lose one there. And I think they could get in. So I like Tulane getting in, and I know what happened last season with the teams that got in, but I think they can at least make the playoffs. So I think watch out for Tulane a little bit.
So you're going Tulane as the mid-major team. Yeah. I don't hate that pick. I don't, I like their uniforms, the green wave. I like that. They're one of, we've talked about this before. They're one of, it's not many teams that have a nickname that doesn't end in an S. So,
right.
Yeah.
I know they got blown out last season in the playoffs, but if that's who I still think they have a pretty solid team as far as the mid-majors go.
They did get blown out, but they scored some points. So it's not like, it was that bad of a.
Yeah, and it was Ole Miss. Ole Miss was solid. Ole Miss was a good team.
Yeah. So, obviously, Ole Miss ended up, making the semifinals. So it's not like it was a bad thing. So yeah. All right. So we got our little things here. We still got the NFL to talk about, but we're running out of time here on this podcast. So we'll get to the NFL. Tony is still up in the Panhandle-ish kind of area. So,
2 more weeks.
He comes back in a couple weeks. We will do, we're going to try and get together, do some hot wings again, make some hot takes. But next week we'll come back. We'll make our NFL picks, for each division. And then, we're getting close. We're getting close to, what are our playoff picks and stuff like that. It's getting close. It's right there.
You can kind of feel it.
Can feel it. We're really starting to get. Each week we're counting down to it. So, I'm excited about what's coming up. I'm excited for some college football, especially, but the NFL coming back too. I love that. So, let's get to football season, Tony.
Anytime now. Anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. It's been. I hope you're having fun up there, enjoying dorm life.
Fun, quote. Fun.
Keep doing that. But we'll come back next week. We'll come back next week with our NFL picks, and then maybe we'll have second thoughts about our college football picks already. So
that could change.
So, all right, we'll come back next week. NFL picks and some more. Until then, I'm Adam.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast with Adam and Tony. Don't forget to check out our partnership with Happy Nuts.